The Washington Nationals are red hot. They have not walked off the Mets just once, but twice this series, and this particular player should be playing every single day.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I am your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And of course, look up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcast, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, and of course, the video version over on YouTube. Again, look up Locked On Nationals and hit that subscriber button. Later on in today's show, we've got a little wraparound series here, a 4-game series against the Mets. We've got a game today, 4:05 first pitch over at Nationals Park. We'll preview that game a little bit later on in today's program. But in the second segment, it is a Monday, so you know what that means. It is a Nats Stock Report Monday. Who has been up and who has been down? We'll have that discussion for you later on as you'll get your latest individual performances on the Washington Nationals. But we start off discussing today's show, 2 walk-off wins for the Washington Nationals and a player that needs to play every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick. And did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller are required. What a damn weekend for the Washington Nationals. This was one of those things where you look at the box scores and you're like, how the hell did this thing happen? On Friday night, the Nationals were dead. They were dead in the water there. The New York Mets put up 4 runs in the 8th inning to go up and lead the game after the Nationals were basically just great all night long. Jake Irvin delivered one of his better starts all season long, continues to compile start after start, which is just a quality start every other day for him. But the Nationals in that game then go down in the 9th inning. You're losing the ball game. You had 13 hits in that game that night, and you found a way to get the win. And also, let's just say this, Kyle Finnegan came in the game for a third of an inning. Didn't look all too great. Technically had that blown save there, but Jose Ferrer giving up those couple of earned runs. It was not his best performance. He was the one that really kind of flipped this thing upside down on Friday night's performance. And then you have the top of the lineup. We have Jose Tena batting 8th, gets on base. Jacob Young getting on base. C.J. Abrams getting on base. That comes up with James Wood. James Wood in that ball game just took over for the Washington Nationals. Juan Soto, you are a great story. You are a legend here in DC, but there's a new legend brewing of the superstar that we have in town, which is James Wood. This means something. This is not just nothing, in my opinion. The Nationals and the Mets, they aren't technically rivals. They are in-division rivals. We don't root for the Mets, and the Mets don't root for the Nats. We know that. They know that. But with Juan Soto now being a New York Met, there is some resentment there for Nationals fans looking over on at Mets fans. There has to be. There's the same way we look at the Phillies with Trey Turner and Bryce Harper. It's now that same way with Juan Soto and the New York Mets. You can't root for them. You simply just cannot root for Juan Soto. And most every Nationals fan out there loves Juan Soto till this day. He is still one of my favorite players in all of baseball. But beating them the way that we have this past weekend is something that you will just hold on and cherish. That is one of those moments where in baseball, this is where it gets fun. When you have these kind of cross rivalries with teams within your division, which you only get in baseball because you play these teams 13, 14 times a season, and you get these opportunities to crack that piñata down. And the Nationals, they cracked that piñata down not once, but twice in walk-off fashion. Friday night was one of the most fun games of this season, and then it leads to Saturday's game, which the Nationals didn't play their best baseball. Unfortunately, dropped that one. Forget about it. Let's talk about Sunday. Then yesterday's ball game, you have the Washington Nationals doing the damn thing yet again, walking off the New York Mets, in which was just an incredible performance, if we're just being honest here. You give up Mitchell Parker, who has been nails so far this season, was all over the yard. At one point, he had 15 balls to 14 strikes in that first inning. It was a hideous first inning for Mitchell Parker, giving up 5 earned runs in that first inning. It was bad. He was walking the yard, and just it was very clear and very evident that he did not have his best stuff. And some of the worst words in Nationals history right now in 2025 is Nats bullpen game. That's what it smelled like. Well, Mitchell Parker ended up settling down. He gave the Nationals 5 decent innings overall after getting up those 6 earned runs early on in the game, walked 5 batters, struck out none, and it just kind of felt as if, well, the Nationals, they're getting taken advantage of in this series because Tyler McGill was on one yesterday. He looked really good for the New York Mets, gave them 6 quality innings, and then the 7th inning came, where all of a sudden the Nationals were back in it. Riley Adams is a 3-run home run, and lo and behold, the Nationals, it's 7-6. And you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe we have something going here. Because Dylan Cruz in the 2nd inning, he had that big home run, which is, again, just kind of been the focal point here as of recent. Dylan Cruz's renaissance over the last few weeks, it's real. Having him up in the lineup, it is a big deal at this point. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But in yesterday's game, the scrappy Nats, they made a comeback. Do you remember in midway of 2023 when the Nationals weren't that bad? Like, they weren't good, but you weren't looking at them, watching them like you were in 2022 thinking, this is the worst team in all of baseball. They weren't. They were a good, quality baseball team in 2023. Same goes for last year. They were the scrappy Nats. So far this season, they haven't really been that scrappy. But 2 of these 3 games, when you're down early and often, the Nationals continue to chip back on that lead. All of a sudden, you get yourself in that 9th inning scenario. James Wood, C.J. Abrams, yet again. You get a walk-off win from Luis Garcia Jr., who is just not having the best of season, but in yesterday's game, put the ball in play. A throwing error by Pete Alonso led to a Nationals win, and you could not have asked for a better story overall because this is something, again, that just simply does not happen all too often. You had C.J. Abrams, who gets the game-tying hit in that 9th inning to make it 7-7, and then Luis Garcia Jr. reaches on a throwing error, and then, of course, Pete Alonso butchers the ball. C.J. Abrams scores, and the Nationals win the game. What a weekend. What a weekend to be a Washington Nationals fan. You have the New York Mets and Juan Soto come to town for the first time as a New York Met, and you walk them off not once but twice. And by the way, with who scores the game-winning runs in both those games? C.J. Abrams, one of the main pieces of that Juan Soto trade. And on Friday night, James Wood is the one hitting the walk-off in order to get the win for the Washington Nationals. The vibes are weird right now, if we're just being honest with the Washington Nationals. They're weird. They're 13-15 on the season. The bullpen is what we have covered. It's not been good for the first month of this season. The starting pitching has been really solid so far. You've gotten great performances from C.J. Abrams, James Wood. You've had some really good starting pitching also. But then yesterday, with the errors and the lackluster of pitching from Mitchell Parker, the Nationals somehow some way, find out to get a win in that contest. What a performance by the Washington Nationals. And more importantly, what a series win potentially coming on later today. You have 2 of 3 wins so far. Can they win a fourth one or a third one out of the 4-game sets? We'll find out and preview that game later on today with a 4:05 first pitch. We'll have that preview later on. But next, it is a Nats stock report Monday. Who has been up and who has been down? I'll talk about that after we tell you about some of our very good friends over at FanDuel. And of course, we have all told you about FanDuel, and the NBA playoffs are here. And FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. And right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. And I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props from 3-pointers to steals to assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. And plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same game parlay for a chance to win big. Let's say you want to go tonight with the Celtics, or just in a few days from now, you can take Jason Tatum over on the threes. You can also go in there, Jaylen Brown, who has been a hot hand here as of late. You can take him over on his point total and rebound total, and that's what makes FanDuel fun. So don't miss out and head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Again, head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Let's get into a Nats stock report. Who has been up and who has been down? Your latest individual performances on the Washington Nationals. Stock up for Dylan Crews. And I just want to say this before we get into it. If you're a new listener, the stock report is basically over the last week or so, or just a handful of these performances. So you might see a little common theme here. But stock up for Dylan Crews. Over his last 7 games, he is slinging at a .680 clip. He's got a couple home runs. He's got 9 hits. And he's got hits in 11 of his last 12 games. Dylan Crews looks like the Dylan Crews that we expected the Nationals to get this season. He is hitting for a little bit of power. He's getting on base, and he's putting the ball in play. While he has struck out a little bit more than what I expected him to, earlier on this season, he struck out in his first 10 out of his 15 at-bats. Like, he was striking out at an insane rate. People were calling the alarms, and it was pretty alarming, if we're just being honest. But a month later, get that out of the picture. Dylan Crews has finally showed up, and he is here to play, and he is ultimately here to stay. Dylan Crews has finally got that swing back that we all knew he had. He hit the home run in yesterday's ball game. A few games ago, he also had another big one. Dylan Crews, when he comes up to the plate at this point, I am now expecting him to put the ball in play and do it at a very hard rate. His numbers have completely turned around so far this season. Early on this year, he was batting like .098, and it was pretty concerning. But now he's at a .231, like .659 OPS. Still not overall where we want to be, but from where things were just 2 weeks ago, you're taking this every single chance. His numbers have improved dramatically over these last few games. And to look at it even at a deeper level, Dylan Crews has been hitting the ball at a very well rate. Over his last 15 games even, forget the 7-game sample, look at the 15-game sample. He's batting .291 with a .564 slug. And in that ball, he's got 4 home runs also, 6 RBIs, a couple stolen bases, and also key, only 11 strikeouts in his last 15 games. The improvements, they're here for Dylan Crews. And I'm happy to see that because the Nationals, they needed that. Stock down for Nathaniel Lowe. Over his last 7 games this season, though, let me just say, Nathaniel Lowe has been really good. Very good offensively and really solid defensively speaking. But over his last 7 games, he's been on the struggle bus a little bit. He's batting .185 with a .296 slug, has In his last 7 games, also 9 strikeouts and only 1 walk with only 5 hits in there. Let me just say this. Nathaniel Lowe is actually one of the better players in baseball when it comes to striking out. Like, he's not really a strikeout guy, and he does kind of work walks. We have not really seen that version of him so far this season. His strikeout rate is relatively high from where it's been at over these last few years, but the last week just has not really clicked for him. He hasn't really been able to get lucky, and I think coming back from a sickness when he was sick down in Miami, it's probably taking a little bit of a toll on him. So give him some time to get back and get healthy and have him recover, and he'll probably be just fine. But a stock down for the Nationals' first baseman, Nathaniel Lowe, just for now. That brings us to a stock up for Jose Tena. I want to talk a bit more about Jose Tena a little bit later on, but he should be your everyday third baseman right now. And over his last 7 games, he is batting .357, a .357 OBP, a .500 slug, and an .857 OPS. Similar to how we started when the Nationals called him up after getting him at the trade deadline for Lane Thomas last year. He's got 10 hits in his last 7 games and also 5 RBIs. He has been a big treat for the Washington Nationals so far. And his overall season numbers are looking pretty damn good. Batting .306 with a .723 OPS. This guy puts the ball in play. And we saw this last year also. Having that big 3-hit night just last week against the Orioles, in which really propelled them to a Nats win on a James Wood bobblehead night, the Nationals are starting to click in all the right places, besides the bullpen up to this point. But Jose Tena has been a big bright spot so far for the Washington Nationals. And, unfortunately, his playing time comes at a loss for Paul DeJong, who actually is going to be getting surgery here relatively soon. But Jose Tena, like in a rebuild and in a retool, whichever stage you are in for the Nationals at this point, Jose Tena should be that guy getting the opportunities. And all offseason long, I wanted him to be your everyday third baseman up until Brady House is ready. Brady House is the future. I think we all know that. But Jose Tena, he has made improvements offensively. And really, he has made improvements defensively speaking also. He's still not up to where you would want him to be your everyday third baseman. But he made a play on Saturday, kind of going to his left side, laying out for it, getting back up on his feet and throwing a dart over to first base, which was a great play. Tena has made improvements, and Davey has talked about that a lot also in the last week or so, with Tena getting a lot of opportunities to play every day. So this has been a real thing for the Nationals. And you're going to have to watch that, because at this point, I'm ready to see Jose Tena play every single day. We'll talk about that more later on in the show today, but we get you a stock down now for a guy that may be leaving the circle of trust, Jose Ferrer. His ERA is back up to a 6.28 after having a pretty solid week last week. Came in Friday's game, got rocked around. Fortunately for him, the Nationals came back and won that game in crazy fashion. But Jose Ferrer, he was like the guy that I told every Nationals fan, I'm like, you might be worried about this bullpen, but this guy, Jose Ferrer, is legit. I still think he is. He is young. He's got not a lot of use on his tires at this point, and he's still filthy. But it's not working. It is not working at this point. Is it a usage thing for him? I don't know. Is it the stuff is not feeling right at this point? Who knows at this point? But the way that he finished 2023 and the way that he finished 2024, I'm not giving up on Jose Ferrer at all. This guy has the highest ceiling up at this point for the Washington Nationals in this pen, and his stuff plays. He just has not been able to command the zone, and for whatever reason, guys are getting hard contact off him. It's a tough situation right now for him. Because again, he is young. He has probably heard people sing his praises for the last few months here. And the Nationals believe in him. And they put him in tough situations. But we're guys like Jose Ferrer, where you are expected to give your best effort, number one. And number two, to be that guy for the bullpen. he's been falling short early on this season. So it's been a little disappointing so far for Jose Ferrer, but we'll see if he can get things back on track a little bit later on in this young season. I expect him to pitch today, by the way, because he has not pitched at all since Friday night. You're going to have to give some of these bullpen guys a rest, but we'll see what the Nationals decide to do. Speaking of bullpen, stock up for Cole Henry, the 2020 second-round pick at LSU. And also, let me just add this with Jackson Rutledge, another stock up for him yesterday, pitching a great game out of the bullpen. 1 2/3 innings pitched against the Mets yesterday. Looked great. Then they went to Jorge Lopez to finish things out. Got out of that 9th inning. But the Nationals, man, Cole Henry, they have found something here. 6 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts so far for Cole Henry. The stuff is nasty. You are going to see him pitch in some high leverage situations. And the Nationals, by the way, that's what should be happening. Like, Cole Henry should be in the back end of this bullpen and being a key contributor for this team up to this point. On Saturday, 1 1/3 innings pitched, only 1 hit. He did walk a batter there, but also struck out another batter. Then Jackson Rutledge came in, got 2 outs there. That back end there with Cole Henry and Jackson Rutledge, they have been very good so far this season, which was pretty surprising because Rutledge was a starter and was just told that he's going to be a bullpen guy in spring training. And Cole Henry was also brought up as a starter. But with both those guys now in the bullpen, the Nationals, they have young talent here. And they both have been really good so far this season. So it's cool to see them and what they have been able to do. Stock up for Cole Henry because he has been very impressive. Next, let's talk about Jose Tena and also preview Game 4 of this Nationals-Mets series. But before we jump into that, I got to tell you about some of our very good friends over at Gametime. And there's nothing better than catching an MLB game live, the crack in the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, Gametime makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last-minute deals, all-in pricing, and lowest price guaranteed, Gametime takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets, plus ticket prices drop as game time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. Yesterday, I went to a Nationals game with my girlfriend, and we did not have tickets, but as we were on the Metro to the game, it was like 35 minutes before first pitch. We were checking Gametime every single minute, and the ticket prices kept on dropping, and I got a good zone deal out in section 238. And when I was there, I was in the sun. I can tell you that much. I got a nice little sunburn there, but still, I had the beautiful view of Juan Soto. I had Alex Call there in right field, and we got to see the Nationals comeback win right there for beautiful seats, beautiful tickets, and I can preview my exact seat before purchasing with no bad surprises when I get to the stadium. And Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On and has the Nationals is coming up. I can count them to help grab tickets that meet my needs. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime and download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And now we jump back into it, and we're going to preview Game 4 of the Mets National Series. But before we jump into that, I want to talk about Jose Tena here because I said I would talk about him a little bit earlier on in today's show, and we weren't able to fill that in there. But I think Jose Tena at this point, like, he is going to be your everyday third baseman until Brady House and or Paul DeJong are ready. But this should be the case. Like, this is where you kind of experiment with things. And with the way that Jose Tena has been hitting here as of late, you would expect the Nationals to do all the things in order to help their future at this point. You have to have a young third baseman here, and really someone who showed a lot of promise last year. I don't know why the Nationals didn't go into this season with a true competition. Tena was not like a world beater down at spring training, but also Paul DeJong wasn't. Paul DeJong was brought in here to hit for power and hopefully trade for someone at the deadline. That was the goal for DeJong. But I think with Tena now, we all kind of remember like, oh yeah, this guy puts the ball in play at a very elite rate. He also has a little bit of power, and he's not the best defensively, but you can still see that he has been working on it, and he has been better. Jose Tena is kind of a forgotten prospect. He's only 24 years old, and he's kind of been yo-yoed up and down the majors and the minors. And it's been in AAA, then in the majors, AAA in the majors with Cleveland, and now the Nationals also. But with where Tena stands today, you have to continue to give this guy opportunities up until Brady House is ready, at least. But Tena has been great so far. In batting from the left side of the plate, like, think of it this way. The Nationals kind of have this platoon situation going on with Rosario and Garcia Jr. at this point. I could see something similar with House and Tena for at least House's first season up in the bigs. House is going to be the guy in the future. I think the Nationals know that, Brady knows that, and we know that. But with that said, young guys, it's going to take some time to really kind of get adjusted to Major League pitching. I could see the Nationals wanting that young platoon third base at this point because, number one, you're going to want to see Jose Tena get at-bats, and number two, you're going to want to see what Brady House can do. Jose Tena deserves his everything at this point. He deserves to start every single day, and I think that's what the Nationals will be doing moving forward because that's what the right thing should be doing. But the Nationals, they have an opportunity to take 3 of 4 against the Mets today. You're going up against Griffin Canning, who was a second-round pick back in 2017, and in last year really wasn't the best with the Angels, but since coming over to the New York Mets in 5 starts this season and 26 innings pitched, he has looked really good. He has a 1.38 whip on this young season and has overall had some success, a 3.12 ERA. Here's what you can expect, though, with the Nationals. Number one, you're going to be able to get hits off him. 25 hits and 26 innings pitched. Only 9 earned runs, though, I will say. Doesn't walk the yard like some of these younger pitchers do. Only 11 walks in 5 starts this season. But batting .250 against him, a 1.38 whip. The Mets have had some really good defense behind Griffin Canning so far this season. So maybe the Nationals with Trevor Williams on the bump, who's coming off some pretty solid starts here. I don't know what the Nationals will do at this point because Trevor Williams is, again, we all know this. Trevor Williams will go 5 innings pitch and give up 2 earned runs. That's what it's going to be like. That's what it will be. I'm calling it right now. 5 innings pitch, 5.0, 2 earned runs. But typically you'd like to have like a Jackson Rutledge there to help him out. He has pitched each of the last 2 days. I don't expect Rutledge to come out of the bullpen again. In fact, he definitely will not after nearly going 2 innings pitched in yesterday's contest. But you'd have liked to have Rutledge in that scenario yesterday. Or in today's game to eat some innings after Trevor Williams. But now it's likely going to be like a Jose Ferrer. And he's going to come in and probably get his renaissance back and hopefully get his stuff back to where you want it to be. And then you'll leave it up to the rest of the bullpen today. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Nationals handle this because you've really juiced your A bullpen at this point. So hopefully the Nationals can take 3 of 4. But if not, I will take beating the New York Mets 2 out of 4 games any day of the week. So thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.